Last time, we expanded our road network alongside the mountain to the most valuable plots of land. And today, we're going to develop our densest area yet. But first, we'll need to make a few mistakes along the way to get the best possible outcome. Now, we've got a lot of developing to do, so let's just jump right into it. Welcome back to Elba, Italy. Now, before we start today, let's just go over a few things that I've done off camera. This is a vegetable farm, so I just added some, I don't know, I wanted to make it look like carrots. I don't really know if it does or not, or even potatoes. I'd be happy with potatoes. I changed this to a sand texture to look a little bit more like wheat. I've darkened a few of the other farms as well. I changed out all the livestock farms to have grass instead of that weird, I don't know, agriculture surface. And then finally, we just added a high school right here. I'm hoping to improve our education pipeline so there's a little bit more residential demand. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I've done so far. On today's agenda, there's one big thing that I want to do, and that's fill in Green Springs. Also, Green Springs is just an awful name, and we've gotten a few good names for all of the areas, so I'll be adding those in next episode. If zoning Green Springs gets us back in the green, we'll also add a passenger port as well, because I think the single map connection is limiting demand somehow. What we really need here is to increase our population significantly, otherwise all of these services will start eating us up. And to help with our population growth, it's going to be a bit silly. We're going to add in another service. So we'll place in an elementary school, because I think that might be one of the factors limiting our happiness. And of course, we'll go with our Mediterranean housing pack for our elementary school. And we've reached milestone 7. All right. What do we get? Pretty much nothing. Okay. Now for the time being, let's leave this area. And I want to go move over to Green Springs. I want to place the signature building that we talked about at the end of last episode. And so to do that, I'm going to start by removing this middle road right here. Now this building is going to be our centerpiece, and we want to frame it the right way. So first I need to place it down, and hopefully our grid will align. That one did, but this one won't. Thank you, game. So we'll just place it down and use move it. We'll get all 4 pieces together. All right, and that's looking pretty cool. It almost feels like a coliseum. Maybe that's not the right word. All right, let's delete these alleys. And then we'll use move it. We'll grab all 4 pieces of the building, and we're just going to center it. All right, now let's grab a pedestrian path. Where is it? Or a pedestrian road, sorry. And then this one just has the European lights. And we are just going to send this right along. But it seems like it's just a bit too big. And honestly, it's probably a bit too big anyways. I think we need to use a road builder and just take down one of the lanes. There we go. That's much, much better. We'll keep the name the same because it doesn't need to change. And I'm wondering if we should maybe take down these medians as well, because they will be on the side of the building. And this building has a very interesting kind of design where the doors are actually on the sides. We'll see if it becomes a problem. I have a feeling it might. The reason it might be a problem is because I don't want to send the road straight up. I actually want to send it along the side of the building. And I'm thinking if we leave just a tiny bit of space, the median's still there, and it still does kind of look a bit weird, but I do like it for some reason. And thankfully I'm not seeing any doors on the side of the building, so we should be fine. It looks like the doors are on the corner pieces. And I love that. I want to detail this plaza like crazy. I want it to feel different than anything else I've built. And I love the way this looks right now. I'm going to mess around with these nodes to see if I can clean it up. If not, we can always just use a few decals to fix it. But if we could use... no, I don't think it's going to work. I think it's pretty much the way it is, and we'll just have to let it be. There's one thing that's driving me a bit crazy though, and the buildings are just ever so slightly misaligned, so I'm just going to go through and fix them up. Okay, so much better. You may not even notice, but it's just the small things that sometimes make a build so much better. Now, typically when I'm zoning or plopping, I do it in kind of a chaotic way. I want to try and tame some of that chaos today, so I'm going to go through and assign a zone for everything that I want to zone in that area. So for example, up here I want a clinic because it'd have good access to this road right here and good access to the other connector. So I'm going to try and go through and get all of that done. Now, one of the big things is that our unemployment is already really high and our demand is kind of suffering as well. And I think that might be due to unemployment. So we can't just add all of this residential without adding some jobs. So I'm going to add some France office here. It's the only offices that I feel like can work in this build. And I want this area to be really, really amazing. And because of that, I want to be so picky on the assets. We're going to need a police station as well. Right now, we only have one police station, and it's pretty much doing all the work around the entire map. And we have a lot of spread out farms. Now, we don't have a single bus station or bus route set up. We have no transportation whatsoever. We don't even have taxis. We can't afford it, but I do want to plan it out for the future just to make sure that we have the space for when we do. This one is probably just the right size. It'll probably be the one that we end up going with, but really the question is where. We probably don't want it too close to our waterfront here, but I was thinking about putting farms here. So definitely not there, definitely not close to the waterfront. It's either here or here. I feel like these are the two best locations. They're central, and this one right here is actually close to our signature building, so I think we'll go with this one. And then these are really big blocky buildings, so I want to break it up just a bit, so we'll add in a park right here. And then I want to break up a lot of this, and I think I'll use urban promenades for this area because the Mediterranean housing really doesn't have all that much variation. Like, it has a lot of great buildings, but in terms of variation, most of the buildings are very, very identical. And that's just, I feel like that's going to get really repetitive really quickly. And then I want to turn this area into a nice little commercial front, maybe even have a hotel or two here. But I think I'm going to use the lobster tail commercial building because I think it's going to look really good. And it's good that I'm doing this because before I forget, we have -2 for unreliable internet service. We probably won't be able to fix it today unless we get into the green. If we get into the green, we'll spend all the money. First though, let's actually unlock our telecom tower. Now I just want to see where are we going to get the best coverage. And if I had to guess, yeah, it's at the tip of this hill, which makes a lot of sense. It won't give us perfect coverage for a few areas, but honestly, those areas don't need it. So for right now, this is where we'll add it in. I think we definitely need to consider a post office if we're considering internet. And we really have two assets that I'd probably want to pick. One would be this modernist EE post office. It's a pretty big building in terms of capacity and size. For a population of 1,000 people, I couldn't really justify it. Even on this end, like let's say this entire area at most is 600 households. Let's say on average there's 3 people per household. That's 6, 12, 1,800 extra residents of this area. And that's just not a lot. Really, it's not a lot at all. So we could probably go with the smaller one. Yeah, the smaller one, and go right about here. And then finally, let's just fill the rest of the area with mixed use. And let's convert this to a dirt road. This will just be farms. I don't think we need this extra extension just yet. And that's just a bit into my thought process about why I'm developing, where I'm developing, and how I'm developing. Really, the idea right now is to ensure that our densest part of this entire island is going to come out really, really well. And I felt like if I was just going to go gung-ho and just start plopping things, it wouldn't work. But now, let's get into the actual plopping. Okay, let's see. I absolutely dislike every single thing about this entire area. It feels so blocky. It doesn't feel the way I want it to feel. Um, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce maybe a bigger building just to change up these block lengths. There must be something in here that can just get the feeling that I'm looking for. Now, there's a lot of signature buildings that I will just never be able to unlock no matter how hard I try. One of them is a UK asset, and it's placed 1,000 units of UK development, and there's no way, not on this island. And one of these is an example too. So I can imagine this was some type of maybe greenery, maybe this was a farm building, and now it's been converted or at least redeveloped or reimagined into an arts building. I think it's going to fit really well right here, but I want to know, can I change the color of the roof? Because that's going to be a big thing. I want to make sure we have an orangey or brown roof color for pretty much all of our buildings. Okay, so the simple answer is yes, we can. I think I might just borrow one of these colors from over here and then apply it to this building. And it gets red. Oh, that sucks. Maybe we can just change it up just a bit. Okay, I'll just do this off camera because I'm going to sit here. I'm going to try and perfect this all day. Let's add in the brewery right here. And I want to see, can we make the roofs orange? Yes, we can. Okay, perfect. We may not be able to get the perfect shade of orange, but I'm happy as long as we can change them. Now it's funny. I spent all that time structuring, organizing, planning out my land uses, and I am just immediately going back on them and breaking it all. And honestly, it's going to be for the better. When I saw that blocky, bricky area, I'm like, one, this isn't even how this development would look in real life. The grids just wouldn't be so tight and perfect. Two, it's just going to come out awful. Like, I can already see it. But we're going to deviate from our plans and we're going to fix it up right now. So I was taking a small break and I got a really good comment from BlueHawk8954. And I'd highly suggest going and reading it because the amount of effort they put into it was amazing. And really, it showed me that I was kind of on the right track before. So because of this, I'm going to add in more low density development in this area. I was primarily going to make this entirely medium density, high density, but it just doesn't feel right for two reasons. Elba, its historical reasoning for why it has lots of low density. Just read the comment. The comment can say it a million times better than I can. Second reason being that it just doesn't feel right. We have 1,000 population and now we're going to add a bunch of medium density and high density. It just doesn't even really make sense. If our population was growing and there was lots of homeless people, then that's super easy to justify. Like we have 6% homeless people. Okay, clearly we need to redevelop some of our low density uses into medium or high density. But we don't have any homeless people. We have 0 homeless people. And in fact, we have a bunch of empty households. Plus, I think it just looks out of place. So I'm going to add in some low density housing. I'm going to try and mimic the Mediterranean style that I've seen in Elba. And honestly, the more I look at this, the more I think we should just start playing whack-a-mole and just to start destroying everything. So goodbye urban promenades. Goodbye. Maybe we'll keep the Mediterranean housing here. No, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Goodbye. Goodbye urban promenades. In fact, let's go nuclear. I'm going to start destroying some of these streets, but I do want to keep some of these France offices because I do think they can look nice, but not even close to this. This looks weird. So let's just start placing them in random different locations. Now for these roads, they're too perfect. The grids just, they work. The grid works way too perfectly. So we're going to destroy this grid. We're going to change it completely. We're going to flip it on its head. Okay, now I want to start imagining that some buildings have just been here for a really long time. So for example, we can say that these France offices have just been here forever. I don't know what the reasoning would be. Maybe it was some type of office building for tourism. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll think of the reason while I'm working through this. But then I'm going to use these buildings as essentially barriers. And I think the Mediterranean housing, having all 3 sets right here just doesn't look right. And it's because they have such a sharp line. like such a sharp straight line. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think the way to fix this is just to change the direction of where the line is pointing. So if we're talking about the front of the building, we just tilt it just a bit and have it face somewhere else. I feel like it's just going to come out looking so much better. Now we have two giant sets of Mediterranean housing. I'm going to take this one right here. I'm going to move it up, and I'm also going to rotate it. Then I'll take this set and I'll move it closer to our bigger plaza building. Really, we want one very tight section of density, and then we want little sprinkles of density around the rest of the area. That way it's not all the same and one big giant pile of mush. And this still feels a bit too perfect, so let's delete this and just add in a bunch of imperfection. Then finally, let's turn our waterfront into either a tourist trap or really just an area of commercial. This is where a lot of people will be coming from, and imagine we'll probably have a port here anyways. So we want to make sure we're luring the tourists in with as many activities or food or whatever it may be as possible. So I think we'll just add the Villa City. We've already added it once, but I think if we recolor it, we can make it work. I think this is just a really solid building to add in, especially just for this entire area. Oh, we have the Eastern European Hotel. I actually like this a lot, although I don't know where to put it. Actually, we could put this not by our farms, but by our waterfront area, maybe even between this path. And then we could have it kind of be accessible to the beach, accessible to the lobster tail commercial building that we'll put up there. I think that could work. Not like this though. We'll have to fix some of the decals, but I think that can work. You know, I've changed things like crazy, so let me just take a look at this. I think it works a lot better. It already starts to feel a bit more chaotic and random. It doesn't feel so perfect. Now I'm gonna get some more low density residential in here. And here's the thing. Is every single development going to fit the block perfectly? No. But that's kind of what happens when you don't have a very colonial grid and it's more just random. Even this road right here, this road is just too straight. It doesn't make sense. So let's add a bit of chaos into here, which should help free up some development space as well. And we'll just curve alongside the hill. And let's just bring back my favorite assets for this build, the waterfront European low residential. Funny how in my original planning, I forgot to add the farms right here, and that led to me having to bulldoze 3 houses. Thankfully, no one lives there and the game's on pause, so they never actually developed, but it still hurts just a bit. Now, are you ready to see something a bit jarring? I'm going to grade here, and it's not going to be pretty at the start. I want the key context to be for this, though, that we didn't actually grade to develop these farms. It's just that in CS2, you kind of have to, otherwise the building is going to come out really janky. So I'm going to soften it all up once I have the building back down, but the grading never actually occurred. And I really don't like the shape of this farm. I'm going to change it after I soften it up just a bit. There we go. Much better. Being honest, I really don't like the idea of one single farm there. I would much rather prefer multiple different farms, but it's just a tricky area to work with in terms of the farm industry and the way the game handles it. And staring at this is just kind of giving me an eyesore, so I'm going to start adding in some trees to make it a bit more bearable to look at. You know what we're missing? We have all these big dense buildings, and I feel like we're missing kind of one of those smaller dense buildings. So not that one, definitely not that one. It'd be one of the ones from the commercial. This one right here. This is small and actually fits perfectly right there. And it really complements the rest of the buildings because it's just something so different from everything else. Now let's turn this orange. Yeah, that's definitely what was missing. We added on all this randomness and chaos into the roads, and that really shifted all of the block lengths. And because of that, we need to change it in the size of the buildings as well. Now let's let this simulate for a bit. That way we don't go through a massive death wave. Now I still want to add something here to this block, but I don't know. I think we'll actually add this one over here with our other commercial building. The great thing about this is they're providing so many jobs. I think the last set of buildings we can use are the Eastern European ones. They should allow us to change the roofs to orange and the buildings to white, which is really my key criteria here. I want it to have that color scheme. So I've let it simulate for quite some time now, and I've noticed our population is decreasing, not increasing, which is weird because we should have a lot of bonuses here. We should have a lot of jobs here, yet unemployment doesn't seem to be a problem. Our problem seems to be something else. Last time this happened to me, it was because there was only one external connection and no other means of transportation. So I'm guessing if we added a port and let it simulate for, I don't know, a few months, we would probably be in a pretty good spot, but we don't have that yet. So I think definitely next episode, we just have to get this port in. And then I'm finishing up on another Eastern European kind of build. I essentially want to use these assets plus the China assets for the rest of this area. And we already have this little area of commercial. Why not just add a bit more? Kind of make it a shopping center. Okay, so we're pretty much done for now. I do want to progress forward with this build rather than get stuck in one area for too long, and I can always come back to detail off camera, unless you guys want to see it. If you do, just let me know. If not, I'll just keep skipping through it either quickly, briefly, or not showing it at all. But I am so much happier with how this turned out. It feels so much more real compared to what it was before, where it just felt so bad. Now it kind of feels a lot more real. All right, 2 more things left on our agenda. 1, I want to add a commercial building kind of right around here. 2, I want to snake some dirt roads upside the hill to the right. I really want to add a lighthouse somehow. I don't know how to make it work yet. Anyways, before we get this in, we need to do just a bit of grading, and we'll probably need to get rid of some decals too, but I hope not. All right, now I've had this building picked out since the last episode. I don't know why, but it feels really beachy to me, and it feels like it just blended in perfectly with this area. So let's find a good spot. Now let's get rid of some of these decals that are just kind of blending through. I'm actually fine with sand showing on top of it, just not too much. And for the most important question, can I click it first of all? Can we change the roof's color? Yes, we can. Nice. Okay. I'm not sure if this one will blend in because I don't think we can change the second black color, but that should work. Now let's just get a road connection from the lobster tail into our main connector. Now we just need to take this dirt road right here and send it up our hill. I'd like to make it to the top point as well, because that's where I'll want to have a lighthouse. Maybe we could use a water tower. Anyways, I'm just going to send these roads up. And then this one, we'll send it all the way around, but we'll stay closer to the water. There we go, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Now, there's some weird texture shadowy thing happening here, so I'm just going to bump this part of the trail back just a tiny bit. And now before we add in our path, we have to clean up some of these surfaces. And then finally, we will just add in our pedestrian path or invisible connection. And it's funny because you can see the trees underneath the building. And we're pretty much done. I'll be coming through here to detail a bit later on, but other than that, I think this build turned out really well. Definitely significantly better compared to what it was before. And we still have no people living in... Oh, wait, we had one person. That's something. I'll take it. One person's better than zero. Let's re-add our district around here, and we'll be adding our names in next episode. And the name we got was Parktown. Sometimes I question this game's name generation. Okay, now we're going to add in a healthcare facility because I noticed that our population isn't increasing even after clicking play for a while, and one of the biggest complaints was healthcare. So we'll add in the French healthcare building because I think it fits the area pretty well. Plus it feels a bit low density, which I like. Okay, so they seem happier and they're not complaining about healthcare anymore, but still our population isn't increasing. So this is something we'll have to tackle in the next episode with a port. Okay, before we end it off, let's just take a quick look at our services. So we're pretty fine on electricity. We have a little bit of headroom. On water, we have tons of headroom. We're perfectly fine. Telecom, obviously we don't have anything yet. And for tourists, we actually get 16 per month. It's not bad, but we can definitely bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. All right, and that's a wrap. I want to give a special shout out to everyone who's been commenting, all the people who have subscribed. It is so amazing. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of this channel and helping with the growth as well. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next one.